What's going on, everybody? C4 here, and today we're continuing with our 32-team 7-round mock draft, and we are looking at the team that holds currently, as of the 20th of March, the number 7 pick in the first round, and that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, before we jump into the mock draft, which is a little interesting, I did make it before the Vinny Curry trade, so I scrambled a little bit because we did go heavy on the defensive ends in the draft. Ultimately, it still works, it still makes sense, but I had to switch it around to add some offensive line depth later on. But we got there, so that's constantly as I go through. I will try my best to adjust the mock draft to as new things come to free agency. Like I already recorded the Colts, for example, and Eric Ebron trade came in. Doesn't really affect my mock draft, but certain teams I'm gonna miss the boat on. Other teams I'll be able to update, try to give you the best stuff. So before we jump into the official mock draft, we're gonna look at the groundwork that they laid during free agency through who they added and who they lost. So they lost Doug Martin, Chris Baker. Thank God Chris Baker's gone. Oh, Chris Baker, just terrible human being. And they decided to move on from Robert Ayers, so they got younger. I like all those moves. They were able to retain Brent Grimes, which really speaks to the lack of depth in their secondary. They're bringing back a guy that's like, what, 36? Still can play, but, they're a little worried about that secondary. We're going to try to fix that in the mock draft. They brought back Adam Humphries, who's a very good slot wide receiver. Mitch Unrein, who was a 3-4 end in Chicago, now is going to be, a 4-3 run-stopping D tackle. They brought in Bo Allen from my Philadelphia Eagles. You guys got a good one there. He's a great character and really solid against the run. They've got center Ryan Jensen, to one of the biggest contracts I've ever seen for a center, but they got better at two positions there because they need to shore up the offensive line. Now you have a very legitimate starting center, and you can move Ali Marpet to one of the guard spots. So you can have Sweezy, Marpet, and Jensen in the interior with Dotson. Those are 4 out of 5 spots capable on the offensive line. You still got to shore up that left tackle spot. I don't think Donovan Smith's the answer there. And lastly, they just brought in Vinny Curry from my Philadelphia Eagles. Good player. One of the best defensive ends against the run. But again, the issue with the Bucs last season was they couldn't get sacks. They didn't have anyone that could get that finished product. And I can tell you right now, as an Eagle fan, you got Bo Allen, Vinny Curry. You got our, outside of obviously Fletcher Cox, who's an absolute animal and probably top 3 defensive tackle in football. You got our run guys. In clear running situations, Vinny Curry and Bo Allen were going to be in the game. So you got much better against the run. I don't know how many more sacks you're going to be able to get from those guys. So let's get some guys that can get after the quarterback here in the mock draft. So jumping into the 7th pick, looking at how everything's gone so far, we have them selecting defensive back Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama. I think he walks into this team day one and can be their starting free safety. He is already a better player than Chris Conte, and he gives you versatility. If you want to have Conte out there for some 3 safety sets or anything like that, you can just slide him into the nickel spot. He has experience playing corner. He's a poor man's Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey's now one of the best corners, the best just defensive backs in general in football. I think it might take a little bit for Minkah Fitzpatrick to get there, and I don't think he has quite the ceiling that Jalen Ramsey has. But in terms of flexibility, that's what makes Minkah Fitzpatrick a bona fide top 5 pick, and you guys are getting him here at 7. Not the biggest need when you're looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but you can't draft for needs. You have to go best player available, and hopefully that best player does fill a need, and ultimately you can definitely improve your secondary, especially with the Bucs. And I think you land a franchise player. When was the last time the Bucs had a good player in the secondary? Let's be honest. I hope Vernon Hargreaves can pan out for you guys. But a bona fide baller in the secondary. You had a couple good Pro Football Focus years from Brent Grimes, but he's old. So we kind of put Grimes in that mix. He's had some good seasons, but ultimately, when was the face of the defense? Not Gerald McCoy. You know what I'm saying? So I think a guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick is an excellent pickup here for the Bucs. Going to the second round, pick 38, item selecting defensive end Sam Hubbard from Ohio State. Again, another player that for a lot of people has a first-round grade. They're going best player available at an area they need to get better at. Sam Hubbard is solid. He's well-rounded. He's not just a pure pass-rushing specialist, but you compare him to what they have right now at defensive end, be it in Noah Spence, kind of both Ohio State prospects at one point in time before Noah Spence got kicked off. And Sam Hubbard's better at getting after the quarterback than him. And then you got, Vinny Curry, run stopper. Everyone else is run stopper. So I think you bring in a guy like Sam Hubbard, you're getting tremendous value here at the 38th pick for a guy that's probably supposed to go, might go still in the first 32. It just didn't happen in my mock draft. And he could be that guy that gets out of the quarterback. You bring him in on pass rushing situations. Again, they don't have a rotation. Pretty much in today's NFL, unless you have bona fide studs starting, you need to have a rotation, and the Bucs rotation is not very good right now. So you go out, you get a guy like Sam Hubbard. There's no real offensive tackle per se here at this spot. You go best player available, and you get a guy that instantly could come in, probably take over if Noah Spence is a starter. I think I probably would still go with Sam Hubbard. Even though Noah Spence was a second-round pick, I think better have those two guys working in a rotation tandem. And yeah, your defense is 2 times better right now with these first 2 picks. Going into the third round, pick 69, the best pick of the draft. I was selecting running back RASHAAD Penny from San Diego State. RASHAAD Penny, excellent comp. His tape was really, really good. You kind of come into, like, he's coming from a scheme where San Diego State, they run the ball like 90 times a game. Trust me, with Donnell Pumphrey, it didn't quite work out there for us. But when you look at a guy like RASHAAD Penny, he's like 220 pounds, played special teams, kind of like the same size and like the way that he was utilized that Todd Gurley was when he was at Georgia. A bigger back, a great athlete that was using, special teams, doing punts and stuff like that because he has good open field vision. And then he went to the combine, thought he was going to run pretty slow, like high 4.5s, ended up running 4.47, I believe, 4.47, 4.46, somewhere in that way. And then when you have Jaquiz Rogers, Charles Sims, I don't think he's signed yet, and they might bring him back. I think you can get a third-round running back here in RASHAAD Penny, who has a chance of being like the next Kareem Hunt, maybe not Alvin Kamara, not the same type of back, but the next Kareem Hunt for sure in the third round. Be your bell cow back. How about Jameis Winston? How about that offense? Penny in the third is absolute money. Going to the fourth round, pick 108, I'm selecting cornerback Perry Nicholson from Tulane. When I look at their secondary, I just kind of see Band-Aids, to be honest with you. You have Hargraves, 2016 first-round pick. You hope he can pan out. You have Brent Grimes on a one-year deal. Outside of that, Ryan Smith, Javian Elliott, Adina, I can't even pronounce that guy's name. There's not a whole lot there. Robert McLean, like a nickel. I don't even think he's coming back next season. So you really, forward-thinking, beyond this year, you have one corner on your roster, and that's Brendan Hargraves, and the jury's still out. So I think you go heavy in defensive secondary here in this draft, as already you see with the Minkah Fitzpatrick. You go to get a guy like Perry Nicholson from Tulane, great versatility, blazing fast. This guy's probably top 5 fastest players in this year's draft class. Showed out at the combine, and can play right away. Gives you some flexibility because of his size. You would assume nickel, but I think because of his makeup speed, you can play him right now and compete for that cornerback, outside cornerback depth, top behind Brent Grimes or Vernon Hargraves. So I think like that, get some speed on the defense, some close down speed. Get a guy that hopefully can develop. From everything that I've seen, obviously I'm not watching a whole lot of Tulane tape, but doing the cheap NFL Draft Scout, just looking at condensed highlights, I see a very high upside here for Perry Nicholson because he's a great athlete, and I think he can learn improve his technique with the right type of coaching. Could be a future starter here for the Bucs. Going to the fifth round, pick 144, I'm selecting defensive tackle Trenton Thompson from Georgia. Again, it comes down to who's rushing the quarterback. Everyone they have outside of Gerald McCoy. Noah Spence is not a proven rusher yet. He's had some growing pains. You have Gerald McCoy. He can get out to the quarterback. Looking at the other names, Vinny Curry, run stop, Bo Allen, run stop, Mitch Unrein, run stop. Hopefully, if you get Sam Hubbard, you now have that there, a little bit interesting. But in the interior, who else is going to be able to help Gerald McCoy get some pressure on that defense from the interior side? A guy like Trenton Thompson, he rushes after the quarterback from the inside. If you want to run a NASCAR package, there you go, fine, put him in there. He's just a go after, get after the quarterback, violent hitter, man. I remember he had a big time hit, and it was either the semi, I think it was the semifinal. College football semifinal. Got a guy in open space, vicious hitter, high upside. Again, it may not be too early to start planning for life beyond Gerald McCoy. He's getting up there in age a little bit. Get a guy like Trenton Thompson with a very high ceiling on your roster and help shore up a rookie that can get after the quarterback. Going to the sixth round, pick 180, I've been selecting offensive tackle Brandon Parker from North Carolina A&T. Small school prospect, which means project. Probably won't want him starting right away, but at 6'7", it has ideal length. Constant awards for, obviously the lower level competition, but he's pretty much this year's Julian Davenport, and Julian Davenport last year was a big time project player that got selected by the Houston Texans. There's a chance he might start. According to ourlads.com, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock into that, he's slated to be their starting left tackle, even though the Texans do need to get better at the offensive line. But I think a guy like Brandon Parker with that ideal size, that's absolute money for a prototype right tackle. Ideally, your right tackle is usually your big, less athletic, more run-focused type player. And DeMar Dotson's getting old, man. He's one of the older guys on the roster. So I think getting a guy like Brandon Parker to help shore up that offensive line, add some depth, would be a good pick here for the Bucs. Going to the second sixth-round pick, 202, I'm selecting nickel corner Darius Phillips from Western Michigan. Again, we're helping out the secondary. I really feel like the needs here for the Tampa Bay Bucs are get a tackle if you can. Tackles, they don't grow on trees. And then just defense. Go all defense, go best player available. When I was doing my mock draft, Darius Phillips has been mocked as high as 4th round. So the fact that he was still sitting here in my mock draft because he is a pure nickel corner, that's pretty much all you're going to get out of him. Who's the nickel right now? They get Perry Nicholson, he's outside speed, you're going to want him out there. Vernon Hargraves, yeah, Brent Grimes can work inside and outside. But again, he's a Band-Aid. So get a guy here, 6th round, tremendous value. Very much like all the picks. Minkah Fitzpatrick at 7, great value. Sam Hubbard in the 2nd round, great value. RASHAAD Penny in 3rd round, great value. So why not top that off by getting a guy that might be able to start nickel day one in the NFL, depending on how his training camp goes, in Darius Phillip from Western Michigan. And then finish up here in the 7th round, 255. They go with one of the more polarizing players when you're talking about offensive linemen in this year's draft class, and that is Brett Toth from Army. He is the type of player, really, really good. Looked really, really good in the Senior Bowl. I watched the Senior Bowl. I was like, who's this guy from Army? Never heard of him before. You know, if you look at where his value, he's probably as high of a 3rd round, probably between 4 and 5 for offensive tackle. A guy, you know, one of those fringe guys that might start as a rookie, probably needs to get eased in or could come in case of an injury. But he has the whole Army requirement. No one really is sure if he's going to have the, you know, stay away from football, do his 2 years of Army, then come out. That was the original plan. Now it looks like he might be challenging that. He might be putting football first and then waiting to do his Army duty after. But I feel like this is a gamble when you're the Bucs and you just need to hit on, you know, a tackle in particular, because it seems like your interior's looking all right. I mean, J.R. Sweezy's not an absolute lock, but he's definitely a solid starter here in the NFL. So you land here, you take the gamble on the guy in the 7th round that if he does play for you this year, I would not be surprised to see him push for starting reps right now on that Bucs offensive line. If it doesn't work out, you stash him, and down the road, you can hopefully get a guy who may be able to pull an Alejandro Villanueva. Different pass, but Villanueva did his, you know, Army Ranger thing. Came in, now he's starting on the Pittsburgh Steelers and has been pretty decent. Got a nice little contract. So I think risk reward is there for sure. When you're in the Bucs and you know, there's not a lot of picks that fell to you that you can grab a tackle. Beggars can't be choosers. I think with Brandon Parker and Brett Toth, you have some upside there and guys forward thinking. So there you go, guys. That is my Tampa Bay Bucs mock draft. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the picks in the comment section below. If you're a Bucs fan or just a football fan in general, leave me your Bucs mock draft in the comments. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.